Before the storm, there was a map of Europe in the early 20th century. It looked like a continent of mighty empires: Austro-Hungarian, German, Russian, British, and French. On the surface, it seemed orderly and permanent. But beneath the map was a fragile illusion. Borders blurred with tension. Dozens of peoples lived within each empire, each with their own dreams. Many wanted new nations, new flags, and new destinies. This was not stability. It was a diagram of friction. Every border was a potential flashpoint. Alliances were lines in the sand, not bonds of trust. The continent was a patchwork of rivalries, not unity. The colors on the map hid deep anxieties and resentments. The British Empire's red masked the strain of global rule. Austria-Hungary's yellow hid ethnic unrest. Russia's green concealed a society on the brink. France's blue masked fear of Germany. Suspicion, not trust, defined relations. The great powers watched each other, waiting for a confrontation. The map showed borders, but not the web of ambitions and fears pushing Europe to the edge. What lay between those borders, minds, motives, and memories, was the real danger. This was a continent holding its breath. The calm before the storm was only an illusion. For a century, the concert of Europe kept the peace through balance and diplomacy. If one nation grew too strong, others would unite to contain it. This system relied on negotiation and a shared fear of war. But by the 20th century, it was breaking down. The rise of a powerful, unified Germany unsettled the old order. Europe split into two rigid camps, not flexible alliances. Fear, not cooperation, now shaped foreign policy. Germany clung to Austria-Hungary, France allied with Russia. Britain, alarmed by Germany's navy, drew closer to both. Alliances, meant to prevent war, became preparations for it. Each side saw the other's moves as threats. The spirit of the concert was gone, replaced by mistrust. Diplomats still met, but calculation replaced civility. Europe became an arena of rivals, each obsessed with survival. The system designed for peace now made war more likely. The balance had become a deadlock. As trust vanished, an arms race took over. Industrialization turned factories into weapon makers. Security was measured in warships and artillery, not just armies. Britain's navy ruled the seas, until Germany challenged it with new dreadnoughts. A costly naval race began, each ship a symbol of power. On land, armies swelled, conscription became standard. Military spending soared, and new weapons like machine guns and powerful artillery changed warfare. Each advance forced rivals to keep up. The continent became an arsenal, and war seemed logical. A military class grew influential, seeing war as inevitable. Industries thrived on military contracts. Populations were conditioned to see strength as greatness. The weapons shaped minds as much as battlefields. War was no longer unthinkable. It was expected. Vast armies needed precise movement. Railways and timetables became the answer. Mobilization plans like Germany's Schlieffen Plan were intricate and rigid. The plan defeat France quickly, then turn east to Russia. Success depended on speed and strict sequences. Once started, mobilization was nearly impossible to stop. To halt meant chaos and vulnerability. Mobilizing was, in effect, declaring war. Timetables left little room for diplomacy. The first to mobilize gained the advantage. The machine of war took over once the button was pressed. Europe was set on an almost automatic path to conflict. Nationalism swept through Europe, shifting loyalties from empires to nations. In unified states it brought pride. In empires it threatened collapse. School children learned to see rivals, not neighbors. Newspapers fanned patriotic fervor. In Austria-Hungary, rising Slavic nationalism threatened to tear the empire apart. Leaders saw Serbia as a magnet for unrest, a direct threat. Nationalism made compromise seem weak and set the stage for explosive conflict. Nowhere were tensions higher than in the Balkans. The Ottoman Empire's decline left a power vacuum. New nations like Serbia and Bulgaria emerged, while Austria-Hungary and Russia vied for influence. Russia backed the Slavs. Austria-Hungary feared Serbian expansion. Austria-Hungary's annexation of Bosnia angered Serbia and Russia. The region was a patchwork of rivalries and old grudges. Recent Balkan wars left bitterness and ambition. Serbia dreamed of uniting all South Slavs, a threat to Austria-Hungary. The Balkans became Europe's powder keg. Local disputes risked dragging in the great powers. Everyone knew a spark here could ignite a continent-wide war. Alliances split Europe into two camps, the Triple Alliance and the Triple Entente. Collective defense was meant to deter war, but it removed flexibility. A crisis for one could drag all into conflict. Leaders were bound by treaty and fear of isolation. Germany's blank check to Austria-Hungary handed Vienna the initiative. France and Russia were similarly tied. Britain, though less formally bound, could not stand aside. Alliances became chains, not shields. A local crisis could now trigger a general war. The system meant to keep peace now guaranteed escalation. The continent was locked into a promise of mutual ruin. On June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand visited Sarajevo. The date was sacred to Serbian nationalists. The visit was a provocation. Gavrilo Princip, a young nationalist, assassinated the Archduke and his wife. The assassination was the spark, not the cause. Austria-Hungary seized the chance to crush Serbia, backed by Germany's blank check. A harsh ultimatum followed. Serbia agreed to most demands, but rejected one. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. Russia mobilized to protect Serbia. Germany declared war on Russia, then France, and invaded Belgium. Britain entered to defend Belgian neutrality and balance. The alliance chains pulled all into war. The powder keg had exploded. Europe was at war. It's tempting to blame one nation or leader, but the truth is more tragic. World War I was a systemic failure, a collapse of a rigid, fearful structure. Leaders acted out of perceived necessity, not malice. Austria-Hungary moved to survive. Germany backed its only ally. Russia defended the Slavs. France and Britain acted to preserve balance. Each step seemed logical, but together they led to disaster. The pressures of nationalism, empire, arms races and mobilization plans all pushed toward war. The old diplomatic tools had failed. There was no emergency brake. The system built for security produced catastrophe. In summer 1914, Europe's lights went out. The world of progress and stability vanished in industrial slaughter. War was not an accident. It was the result of choices, fears, and failures. The pre-war world was ready for war in every way.